The Late Bloomers Club. Chapter 1. The Conversation. The doctor's office smelled like antiseptic and broken dreams. Type 2 diabetes. Dr. Patel said, sliding a pamphlet across her desk like she was dealing poker cards. High cholesterol. Prehypertension. Your liver's staging a protest, and frankly, Mr. Henderson, I don't blame it. I stared at the pamphlet. It featured a disturbingly cheerful cartoon pancreas wearing a cape. So what you're saying is, I'm falling apart. What I'm saying is you're 60 years old, and you've been treating your body like a storage unit for pizza and craft beer. She folded her hands. The good news? You can turn this around. Diet, exercise, lifestyle changes. I walk. I protested. I walk to my car. Sometimes I park far away. Dennis. She gave me the look. The one that suggested she'd heard every excuse since the Paleolithic era. I'm talking about real exercise. 30 minutes a day, minimum. Walking, swimming, anything that gets your heart rate up without involving a remote control. I left with a stack of pamphlets, a prescription for metformin, and the creeping suspicion that my body had filed for divorce and I was just getting the papers. That night, I stood in my kitchen eating cereal for dinner. Because cooking for one is depressing, and also because I never learned to cook. And stared at the magnet on my fridge. It was from the Chicago Marathon, a souvenir from when my daughter Sarah ran it 5 years ago. I'd stood at mile 22 eating a hot dog, watching thousands of people run past like they were being chased by their own mortality. Which, I suppose, they were. I pulled out my phone and Googled beginner running program for old people. The internet, in its infinite tact, suggested I start with walking. Fine. I could walk. How hard could it be? Chapter 2. The first step. And the second, and the third, and oh God, why? I woke up at 5:30 a.m. on a Tuesday, which was the first sign that I'd lost my mind. I decided on early morning walks to avoid witnesses to my inevitable failure. I pulled on sweatpants I'd bought in 2003. They still fit, which was either a victory or a symptom. And an old college t-shirt that was now more holes than fabric. The neighborhood was disturbingly peaceful at dawn. Birds chirped like they were auditioning for a Disney movie. The air smelled like fresh-cut grass and someone's overly ambitious sourdough starter. I made it to the end of my driveway before my knees filed a formal complaint. This is fine, I muttered, shuffling forward like a penguin with arthritis. Perfectly normal. Just a man. Taking a walk. At an ungodly hour. Because his pancreas is mad at him. I'd mapped out a route. Around the block, roughly half a mile. A child could skip it in 5 minutes. I was shooting for 20. At the corner of Maple and Oak, I encountered my first fellow human. An elderly woman power walking with the intensity of someone fleeing a crime scene. She wore a hot pink tracksuit and a visor, and she blew past me like I was standing still. Which, to be fair, I almost was. Morning. She chirped, already 20 feet ahead. Morning. I wheezed at her, rapidly disappearing back. By the time I returned home, my shirt was drenched, my legs were trembling, and I developed a new appreciation for my couch. I collapsed onto it like a soldier returning from war. Half a mile. 12 minutes. I was definitely going to die. Chapter 3. The regulars. I kept at it, mostly out of spite. By week 2, I'd established a routine. Wake up, question my life choices, walk anyway, collapse, repeat. I'd also started recognizing the other early morning weirdos in my neighborhood. There was hot pink tracksuit woman, who I saw most mornings blazing past me with the determination of an Olympian. There was Tai Chi guy, who practiced in the park and looked so serene I wanted to throw a pine cone at him. And there was the running club. A pack of silver-haired speedsters who jogged past in matching neon shirts every morning at 6:15. They terrified me. One morning, as I was struggling up a particularly offensive hill. When did my neighborhood get hills? One of them peeled off from the pack and jogged back to me. "You're new," she said, barely winded. She looked about 70 and could probably bench press me. "I'm Diane." "Dennis," I panted. "I'm walking." "I can see that. Good for you. We're the Silver Striders. We meet Tuesday and Thursday mornings if you ever want to join us." I looked at her, then at the group disappearing into the distance like gazelles, then back at her. "I'm more of a bronze shuffler," I said. She laughed. "Everyone starts somewhere. I had a heart attack at 68. Now look at me." She jogged backward, while talking to me. Think about it. And then she was gone, leaving me alone with my inadequacy and my screaming calves. Chapter 4. The Ambition. A marathon? Sarah nearly spit out her coffee. We were having our weekly video call, which mostly consisted of her telling me about her life in Seattle, and me pretending I understood how cryptocurrency worked. "Not running," I clarified. "Walking. There's a marathon in 6 months that allows walkers." I was thinking, "Dad, that's 26 miles. "I'm aware. You can barely walk around the block. I can walk around several blocks now, thank you very much. I'm up to 2 miles. She stared at me through the screen, her expression cycling through disbelief, concern, and something that might have been pride. "Is this because of the diabetes?" "This is because I'm tired of being tired." I paused. "And yes, the diabetes. And because Dr. Patel showed me a chart of my future, and it looked like a sad country song." Sarah bit her lip. Okay. This is good. This is healthy. I'm proud of you, Dad." "Don't be proud yet. I haven't done it." "You're doing it right now. You're trying. That's the hard part." After we hung up, I stared at the marathon registration page for 20 minutes before clicking submit. The entry fee was $150, which seemed like a lot of money to pay for the privilege of walking until my feet fell off. But I'd done it. I was committed. God help me. Chapter 5. The Silver Striders. I showed up to the Silver Striders Tuesday meeting mostly because Diane had given me her number just in case, and then texted me 3 times with increasingly enthusiastic encouragement. They gathered at the park at 6 a.m. sharp. There were about 15 of them, ranging from spry 60 to could be anywhere from 70 to immortal. Diane waved me over like I was a long-lost friend. "Everyone, this is Dennis. He's training for a marathon." "Walking," I corrected quickly. "Walking a marathon. Important distinction." A petite woman with silver hair pulled back in a ponytail stepped forward, extending her hand with a warm smile. "Margaret. Welcome to the group. I walked my first marathon at 65. Changed my whole life." "That's encouraging," I said. "It should be. None of us started out fast or fit. We just started." She gestured to the group. "Half of us have had some kind of health scare. The other half just got tired of feeling old." A man with a white beard and the build of a retired lumberjack extended his hand. "Frank. Did my first marathon at 72. Took me 8 hours and I loved every miserable minute." "The point is, you finish," Margaret added. "Speed doesn't matter. You show up, you put one foot in front of the other, and you finish. You'll do great." The morning's easy run was 3 miles. I walked, They jogged slowly alongside me, chatting about their grandchildren and knee replacement surgeries and the best brands of athletic tape. No one made me feel slow. No one suggested I should be doing better. They just accepted me. Margaret walked beside me for a stretch during the second mile, matching my pace. "I know it seems impossible right now," she said. "But you've already done the hardest part. You showed up. Everything else is just repetition." By the end, I realized I was smiling. "You good?" Diane asked, appearing at my other elbow like a peppy ghost. "I think so," I said. "This is weird, right? This whole thing? What, exercising before sunrise with a bunch of senior citizens you just met? Completely normal." She grinned. "Welcome to the club, Dennis." Chapter 6. The Wall. Week 8 was when I hit the wall. Not metaphorically. I mean, also metaphorically, but first literally. I was so exhausted during a walk that I had to lean against Mrs. Patterson's fence for 5 minutes, while she watched me suspiciously through her kitchen window. I was up to 8 miles on my long walks, and my body had decided to hold a referendum on whether this was a good idea. The results were overwhelmingly negative. Everything hurt. My feet hurt. My knees hurt. My hips hurt in places I didn't know hips could hurt. I'd developed a blister on my heel that I'd named Richard, because it was a dick. I collapsed into Dr. Patel's office for my 3-month checkup, ready to admit defeat. She took my blood pressure. Checked my weight. Drew blood for labs. Then she leaned back in her chair and smiled. "Dennis, your A1C is down. Your cholesterol is down. You've lost 15 pounds. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." "I'm dying," I said. Slowly and painfully. "You're adapting. Your body is getting stronger. The pain is temporary." "Is it? Is it really?" She pulled up a chart on her computer. "Look at this. 3 months ago, these were your numbers. Now look. You're reversing years of damage. You're literally getting healthier." I stared at the chart. The lines were going in the right direction. Down for the bad stuff, up for the good stuff. It looked like hope, graft. "Huh," I said. "Huh, indeed." She closed the laptop. "So, are you going to keep going?" I thought about the Silver Striders. About Margaret's encouragement and Frank's stories and Diane jogging backward just to talk to me. About Sarah's voice when she said she was proud. "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, I think I am." Chapter 7. The Long Walks. By month 4, walking had become less of a punishment and more of well, not quite a hobby. A compulsion? A lifestyle? An identity crisis with athletic shoes. I'd worked up to 15-mile walks on Saturdays. 15 miles. The old me would have driven 15 miles to avoid walking 15 feet. The new me. This weird, early rising, blister-covered version of Dennis Henderson. Apparently enjoyed suffering. The Silver Striders had adopted me fully. They invited me to potlucks, where I discovered that runners eat with the same intensity they run. And group texts, where I learned more about foam rolling than any human should know. And charity 5Ks, which I walked while they ran, and they still cheered for me at the finish like I'd won Olympic gold. Margaret had become something of a mentor. She texted me encouragement on my long walk days, and sent me articles about marathon walking strategies with subject lines like, "Read this," and, "Important intel." Frank became my unofficial marathon coach. He'd done 12 of them and had opinions about everything from hydration strategies to toenail management. "You're going to lose at least 2. He said matter-of-factly during a Wednesday walk. 2 what? Toenails. It's inevitable. Just accept it now. I didn't sign up for this. I muttered. Sure you did. It's in the fine print. May experience temporary toenail loss, permanent changes in free time allocation, and unexpected feelings of accomplishment. Despite the horror stories, I kept walking. Through rain. Miserable. Through heat. Worse. Through the morning my alarm didn't go off and I woke up at 5:45 in a panic because I was going to miss my walk. That was when I knew I'd become someone I didn't recognize. And weirdly, I liked him. Chapter 8. The Setback. 3 weeks before the marathon, I woke up and my right knee felt like it had been replaced with broken glass. I tried to walk it off. Bad idea. I tried to ignore it. Worse idea. By that evening, I was limping like a pirate, and Frank had staged an intervention in the form of a very stern phone call. Ice it. Elevate it. And for God's sake, Dennis, rest. The marathon is in 3 weeks. And you'll miss it entirely if you shred your knee now. Take 3 days off. Let it heal. Trust me. 3 days off felt like a prison sentence. I didn't realize how much I'd come to depend on my morning walks. Not just for the exercise, but for the routine, the people, the quiet achievement of another mile logged. Without them, I was just a 60-year-old man sitting on his couch, watching the sunrise alone. Sarah called on day 2 of my forced rest. How's the knee? She asked. Betraying me. How's Seattle? Rainy. I've been thinking. I want to come watch you finish. The marathon. I want to be there. My throat went tight. Sarah, you don't have to. I want to, Dad. You're doing this incredible thing, and I want to see you cross that finish line. After we hung up, I sat in the dark living room and cried a little. Just a little. The kind of crying you do when you realize your kid grew up to be someone who believes in you more than you believe in yourself. My knee felt better the next day. Chapter 9. The Taper. The final 2 weeks before the marathon were called the taper. When you reduce your mileage to let your body rest and recover. I'd never been so grateful for sanctioned laziness. The Silver Striders threw me a pre-marathon party, which was exactly as wholesome and embarrassing as it sounds. They'd made a banner that said, "Go Dennis," in letters that could be seen from space. There was a cake decorated like a running shoe. Margaret gave a speech about determination that made me tear up. When Dennis first showed up, he could barely make it 3 miles. She said, raising her glass of sparkling water. Now he's about to walk a marathon. That's not just physical. That's mental. That's heart. And Dennis, you've got plenty of that. You're one of us now, Diane added. And we're going to be out there on race day, cheering you every step of the way. Every step? I said. That's 26 miles. We're retired, Dennis. We've got time. The night before the marathon, I laid out my clothes with the precision of a surgeon preparing for a complex operation. My shoes. Broken in over hundreds of miles. My socks. Specially designed to prevent blisters. I was skeptical. My shirt. Moisture wicking, which sounded fake but apparently wasn't. My race bib, number 2847, pinned carefully to my chest. I looked at myself in the mirror. I'd lost 23 pounds. My face looked different. Thinner, sure, but also something else. Determined, maybe. Alive. Okay, Henderson. I told my reflection. Tomorrow you're going to walk 26.2 miles. You might cry. You will definitely sweat. Your feet will probably fall off. But you're going to finish. My reflection looked unconvinced, but I chose to ignore him. Chapter 10. The Marathon. Race day dawned clear and cool, which Frank had told me was perfect marathon weather, though I suspected all weather was perfect marathon weather when you were young enough that your bones hadn't started filing grievances. The start line was chaos. Thousands of people in various states of athletic readiness, bouncing and stretching and looking far too energetic for 7 a.m. I found my corral. The very last one, reserved for walkers and people who'd clearly lost bets. And tried not to think about how far 26 miles actually was. The Silver Striders found me before the start. All of them. They'd made matching shirts that said, Dennis's crew, and I wanted to crawl into a hole and also hug every single one of them. We'll be at miles 5, 10, 15, and 20, Diane said. You'll never be alone out there. Margaret squeezed my shoulder. Remember, one step at a time. That's all any of us ever do. I'm going to cry. I warned them. Save it for mile 20. Frank advised. That's when everyone cries. The starting gun fired. The crowd surged forward. I started walking. One foot in front of the other. Mile 1 was euphoria. I was doing it. I was in a marathon. The crowds were cheering, the energy was electric, and I felt like I could walk forever. Mile 5 was where reality set in. My feet already hurt. The Silver Striders were there as promised, screaming my name like I was winning instead of plodding along at a pace that would embarrass a tortoise. Mile 10 brought doubt. So far to go. So far. Mile 15 brought Sarah. She was standing on the side of the road, holding a sign that said, That's my dad, and crying. I veered over to hug her, and she squeezed me tight. I'm so proud of you. She whispered. I'm not done yet. I said. I know. That's not the point. Mile 20 brought the wall Frank had warned me about. Everything hurt. My feet, my legs, my back, my soul. The sun was high and hot. My water bottle was empty. I was walking through what felt like wet concrete. And there were the Silver Striders, right where they promised. 6 miles left. Margaret shouted, walking alongside me for a block. You've got this, Dennis. You've walked further than this in training. That was different. I gasped. How? I could stop. You can stop now. You just won't. She was right. I wouldn't. Miles 21 through 25 were a blur of pain, determination, and increasingly delirious thoughts. I talked to myself. I talked to my feet. I talked to a particularly aggressive pigeon. I might have sung part of Sweet Caroline, though I refused to confirm this. And then, impossibly, I could see it. The finish line. The crowd noise grew louder. I could hear my name. People I didn't know, cheering for a sweaty old man who decided 6 months ago that he wasn't done yet. The Silver Striders were there, all of them, screaming themselves hoarse. Sarah was running alongside the barricade, tears streaming down her face. Strangers were high-fiving me. I crossed the finish line. 6 hours and 42 minutes after I'd started, I finished a marathon. Someone put a medal around my neck. Someone else wrapped me in a foil blanket like a baked potato. I was crying, laughing, possibly dying. Frank appeared and grabbed me in a bear hug. I told you you'd do it. I did it. I said, testing out the words. I actually did it. You're a marathoner now, Dennis. Official member of the club. Chapter 11. The After. The next day, I couldn't walk. Literally. My legs had gone on strike and filed for immediate retirement. I spent most of Monday on the couch with ice packs, heating pads, and a newfound respect for ibuprofen. But I had my medal. And my finisher's certificate. And about 300 photos that Sarah had posted on social media. making me accidentally internet famous among middle-aged people considering lifestyle changes. My phone kept buzzing with messages from people I barely remembered. Old co-workers, high school friends, my ex-wife. Who said, "I never thought you'd stick with anything this long," which I chose to take as a compliment. All congratulating me. Dr. Patel called personally. "I heard you walked a marathon," she said. "You heard correctly. I'm currently unable to move, but yes. Your next blood work is in 2 weeks. I have a feeling it's going to be very good." That would be a nice consolation prize for no longer having working legs. She laughed. "Dennis, I'm proud of you. Most people get the diagnosis and make excuses. You made a change. That's rare." After she hung up, I stared at the ceiling and thought about the man I'd been 6 months ago. The one who thought walking to his car was exercise. Who'd accepted that 60 meant giving up. I wasn't that guy anymore. I was someone who got up at 5:30 a.m. Who had a running club. Who owned moisture-wicking shirts. Who'd walked 26.2 miles just to prove he could. My phone buzzed. The Silver Striders group chat. "Margaret. Next one in 6 months?" "Frank. I'm in." "Diane. Same." "Margaret. Dennis?" I looked at my medal hanging on the lamp beside the couch. Looked at my useless legs. Looked at my future, which suddenly seemed a lot longer and more interesting than it had 6 months ago. I picked up my phone. "Dennis. Let me learn to walk again first." "Dennis." Then yes. Because I'd learned something out there on those 26 miles. Something the pamphlets and doctors and well-meaning friends couldn't teach me. It's never too late to become someone who tries. Even if trying means waking up early, developing weird blisters, and occasionally crying in public. Especially if it means that. I closed my eyes and smiled. Tomorrow, I'd rest. But the day after, I had a walk scheduled.